Hello and welcome. You are watching News 9 Live. I'm Krishna Kumar and I'm being joined by my colleague Sudha Sadanand as we're discussing the big milk row in the southern Indian state of Karnataka, which is approaching fast, a crucial election for both the Congress and the BJP. In the election-bound Karnataka, politics is no more confined to just war of words, but now it has also gone the Milky Way. The controversy started with the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation on the 5th of April announcing that it was entering the Karnataka market, as an Amul was supposed to be entering the Karnataka market, and this immediately led to a backlash from locals and politicians in Karnataka and calls to boycott Amul's products in Karnataka. Save Nandini and go back Amul began to trend on social media. And amidst all the controversy, Gujarat's Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation's Managing Director, Jayan Mehta, said that the company's entry into the state of Karnataka's dairy market is not to compete, but to coexist with the local favorite, that is brand Nandini. Let's first take this across to my colleague Sudha Sadanand. Sudha, first you had the politics over dahi or tayir or mosar as it's called in Karnataka, or perig in Telugu. Let's now move with this over to milk, which is called hal in Karnataka, in Kannada, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's right.
And so there you have two big brands. You know in Karnataka how big a brand is Nandini. What a daily, it's like what Mother Dairy is to Delhi, Nandini is to the people of Bengaluru and the state of Karnataka. And Amul is as a national brand, it's a national legacy, pride of the country. And it's unfortunate that, you have to have these two at the loggerheads against each other.
You see, the thing is, when it comes to, let's understand local brands, you grow up with those local brands, like Avin Pal in Chennai.
Yes,
you
Avin
must
milk.
Have grown up with,
Absolutely,
Avin,
I did.
right?
Yes.
So
even now we get Avin in Chennai.
Avin. So, the thing is that I do understand that you have kind of a loyalty towards local brands, and you have, your children grow up, your family lives on it. But I think this controversy between Amul and Nandini also kind of, threatens what is a free market, what is about choices. Like I could like a particular brand of milk and I should be allowed to buy that brand of milk. I respect the Kannadigas. I understand what it is. I mean, it becomes part of folklore that you make, kheer with Nandini milk, it will turn out very good. We all have those folklores at home.
Yeah.
But the larger question is, apart from Kannadiga pride and Kannadiga preference more than pride, it should also be about choices. And I think, Krishna, frankly, it's because the elections, we are hurtling towards the elections.
Right.
It's become a major Kannada election plank which everybody is exploiting.
Okay, we're saying that, and here is the other significance. This is Gujarat, Milk Marketing Federation, Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation.
Yes.
A lot of significance over there because the BJP, wants to, stake its claim and, and continue its reign in Karnataka.
And just to add, Krishna, quickly before you go to the guest, Amit Shah, the Home Minister, had said sometime last year that Amul will enter Karnataka and he hopes that Amul and, Nandini, they work together so that the market is expansive. It is not restricted to just one brand or, two brands. And the thing is, Nandini sells milk at a very lower cost. So I don't think there is going to be major competition there.
Because Amul at the end of the day is also about the cost. It's the famous brand across the India because, it beats everybody on cost.
No, as a woman, let me tell you, Amul costs 20% more than Nandini. So I will buy Nandini if I were.
That's the reality in Karnataka.
Yes, the cost is so.
Ladies and gentlemen, the good point that has come out right now is that, so people sitting in Delhi, people sitting in other places where Amul is the go-to brand, and you're thinking that, I go to Amul because it has the lowest price. Bear in mind, in Bangalore, in Karnataka, that's not the reality because Nandini is 20% cheaper than Amul, and that's why probably that there is a sense of an issue of an outsider coming into a market that they've been servicing well. I mean, that would be their argument, isn't it, Sudha? The fact that they'll be like, look, what have we done wrong? We're doing this right. We sell milk at a lower cost to people and the whole of Karnataka consumes it and we should be allowed to continue. Why? I mean, because not everything needs to be free market, especially essential supplies.
Yes.
Doesn't need to become a free market operation.
Absolutely. But the thing is that I think the head of Gujarat Milk Federation has also played it very safe. He said, we want to coexist. We do not want to compete with Nandini at all because of the hashtags which are trending. Go back Amul, save Nandini. I mean, there seems to be this whole kind of, uproar which is being witnessed in Karnataka right now. But net, the cost is less, both for toned as well as full cream, and that really matters for everybody, considering there has been an inflation which is hit the roof.
20% is a huge delta, I must say. We have my colleague Arun Sundaram now joining us live from News 9 Karnataka. Arun Sundaram, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. Tell us, what is the ground situation on Twitter? It looks like war between Amul and Nandini.
Well, absolutely, Krishna. Good afternoon. And now, if you were to look at it, it's snowballed into a political controversy. The latest being the KPCC chief, DK Shivkumar, in fact, going and severing flavored milk and during one of his campaign moves in Karnataka. So at this point of time, the people in the dairy industry are sitting and watching what's going to happen next, because remember, as we speak, the election season is just 1 month away. Today is April 10th, and you have the polling on May 10th. So we're just about 30 days or 31 days away. And the policy related to the dairy industry in Karnataka will be announced or will be enunciated by the next government, whichever government takes or assumes charge. Now, having said that, the war of words is now becoming a political controversy, and nobody wants to be seen left behind. Because remember, if you can milk this and you do get some brownie points in the form of extra votes and your candidates do manage to win, nothing like it. So it's a kind of a political controversy that's raging on at this point of time, but it's business as usual. When I spoke to my people or sources in the Karnataka Milk Marketing Federation in Bengaluru, Krishna.
Arun, this is Sudha here. I wanted to ask you a question. The thing is that it's about economics at the end of the day. Would you concede? Because, like we were discussing, that Nandini, it's very, very less, the prices, when you compare it with Amul, whether it's full cream or whether it's toned. Now we see Bruhat Bengaluru Hoteliers Association Chief Mr. Rao is also supporting Nandini. So at the end of the day, the whole uproar is that anybody who recommends keeping the costs low is going to win and going to make it to the finishing line, would you say?
Well, Sudha, you will have to understand the economics or the dynamics behind this whole move. Because remember, at the end of the day, the question is, right, the product is cheap, it's easily available, therefore it finds favor with the consumer. That's one way of looking at it. But why is it that the cost of production in a market like Karnataka is much lower than what it is compared to the rest of South India? Is it that the inputs are more easily available, or is it that there is a ready market? Because remember, if you're talking of the numbers, let's talk about the numbers at this point of time. Last year, we did about 82.4 million tons of milk production as far as Karnataka was concerned. And the daily production today, or in the flush season, which should hopefully end somewhere in the first week or second week of July, is expected to touch about 96 lakh liters per day. So that's the kind of number. Because remember, you are having access to fodder, you have milch cattle, and more importantly, access to a ready-made market, because nearly 50%, close to 40 or 45% of the liquid milk offtake happens in this great metropolis of Bengaluru. So if the people at KMF have been able to manage to keep their costs low, it just goes on to prove how deft they have been in managing their business. I mean, it's not a question of casting aspersions on somebody who's a higher cost producer, because at the end of the day, milk is a daily necessity. It is a necessity. There's no denying that fact. It's not like whether you have to have a DTH connection or you need to have a swanky new car. It is a necessity. And look at the kind of steps that the government of Karnataka has taken to ensure that the lot of the dairy farmers in Karnataka improves. There is a program, a flagship program called Shiradare. What does it do? It takes the liquid milk and channelizes it into the schooling system. So it has a 3-point agenda. It ensures A, that the attendance in government school improves. B, it provides an incentive for the student to make his or her presence in the school along with the midday meal. And thirdly, it acts as a kind of a buffer or as an encouragement to the dairy farmer to ensure that he doesn't, lose heart and that he doesn't lose out. There is some source of income that is being paid out. It's not much. It's about 5 or 6 rupees, but it does make a difference. And believe me,
right. Arun, at this stage, I'd like to ask you only one thing. Fact of the matter is that the economics is in favor of Nandini and in Karnataka. The fact of the matter is that Amul as a brand, as a product in this country, an Indian homegrown brand, has been the go-to choice across markets in this country, and for the same reason, because Amul does retail less than every other brand as a competitor. The question here is, should the people of Karnataka have the choice to have a slightly more expensive brand if they feel like it, while they continue sticking to their more, a brand that provides to them at a 20% discount? What is the harm in having that as an option? If it is that expensive, only so many people will take to it in Karnataka, while the rest will remain with the cost-effective brand.
Back to the fact that it's a question of cost competitiveness. It may be one of the factors, but I would beg to differ from you to say that that's not the only factor or that's not the only point of criteria. Now, if you look at the Bengaluru market, you have scores of private brands available. You have the likes of Hatson, you have A2 Milk, you have Akshay Bhaga. So you have so many brands available. It's not that the absence of one particular brand means the customer is devoid of any choice. That is perhaps one of the mistakes that we are doing in making the assumption. And as far as the cost competitiveness is concerned, the question is the economics. The economics is working out in such a manner that the cost of production is relatively lower in Karnataka when compared to the rest of the country. And remember, milk is such a product, liquid milk is such a perishable product. The cost of transporting it is being borne by somebody, and that's the cooperative. I mean, at the end of the day, trace the history of KMF. It was the inspiration of a man called Verghese Kurian. He created Amul, and that was precisely the model which came into play. It was replicated in the 80s. Till the early 80s, Karnataka did not have a dairy industry of its own. It was rather fragmented. You had a lot of cowherds, you had a lot of people who used to have maybe 2 or 5 or 10 milch cows. They would supply the neighborhoods. But it was the presence or the arrival of KMF that galvanized the whole industry. It gave it a concrete shape, and more importantly, ensured that the dairy farmers would not lose out. And what was the source of inspiration? The source of inspiration was definitely Dr. Kurian and the Gujarat model.
Right.
And today, if you are saying that, look, you allow for competition to come in, competition has already come in. Please remember, it was in the early 1990s that the MNMPO, that is the Milk and Milk Products Order, which ensured that milk production was the reserve of the cooperative sector, that was removed. That order was revoked, allowing the arrival of large private sector players into the industry. And today to say that, one brand is not available is perhaps a fallacy, because there are scores of other brands available. There are
Fair
brands
enough.
which have come in
Fair enough.
from
Point
neighboring
taken.
Tamil Nadu. There are brands which have come in from neighboring Andhra Pradesh, Telangana,
Right.
which have found a market for those products in Bengaluru.
Fair enough,
What
Arun.
KMOF is
Point
doing
taken.
is
Point taken. We have R.S. Khanna, international dairy consultant, also joining us. Stay with us, Arun. We'll just take this across to him and then we'll bring it back to you as well. Dr. R.S. Khanna, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us on this broadcast as we're discussing this big controversy that's brewing in Karnataka. Talk to us. Where do things stand? Is it a matter of free market? Because as our colleague Arun Chandram is telling us, Karnataka is already a free market. There's so many other competing brands coming in from neighboring states. Why do you need Amul when KMF, the Karnataka Milk Federation, was a product of inspiration of Dr. Verghese Kurian and what he did in Gujarat?
Well, thank you very much for making me join this controversy route. See, milk marketing makes a lot of sense when you have all the competitors around. So what I believe is that if Amul is joining, it has no problem as far as Karnataka is concerned. Number two, has Karnataka made any kind of a controversy on private sector brands? Why do it only on cooperatives? They are two cooperatives. They can have cooperative to cooperative understanding and they can build up a good kind of a market. Let me tell you, if Amul comes in, it will certainly help Karnataka expand its market. I want to give you one very simple example. I was with Amul at that time, and we had launched milk in Indore. The controversy that you have today in Karnataka was same controversy raised in Indore, and the managing director of MP Federation, he asked for a meeting, everybody joining around. When the discussions were held in the meeting, the detail was worked out that what was the situation of the market before and after. Let me just give you a little brief. In about 4 months, 5 months time, Amul had started marketing 35,000 liters of milk. When it had started marketing in Indore, they were selling maybe less than 30,000. But soon, after Amul started joining, within 4 months time, Madhya Pradesh Federation got increased by almost about 40% in its sales. And still they were making noise that Amul's presence in Indore will be very harmful to them. How it really happened was, number one, through the competition, Amul increased the total area of marketing. Number two, at that time, Indore Union was not very careful in meeting all the standards of marketing. So they cleaned their outfits called Nandini, called Sanchi there, and then they started checking on quality, all aspects. And ultimately what happened was Amul grew there and Sanchi also grew there. I believe once Amul comes into Karnataka, I don't think Nandini needs to be afraid of. Number one, as I have been listening in your debate, Amul is already 20% higher as far as pricing is concerned. But in sales and marketing, pricing is always very, very important. If it is already expensive, then Nandini, where is the question of Nandini being hurt?
Right.
Number two,
If I
Nandini
may,
will have to put in far more efforts as compared over to Amul to beat it. And that is something that will help in marketing of their more milk and more products. The issue is being raised only on milk. Why not on butter and paneer? Why not on other products also? Because Amul has already set up its market in Karnataka for all other brands. This is the only thing that they are now introducing. So I don't think they should be really scared of Amul. Ultimately, when the example I gave you of Indore, ultimately Mr.
Right.
B.M. Vyas, who was then managing
Dr. R.S.
director.
Khanna, my only query when you say that is that Madhya Pradesh is a different socio-economic demographic going on as compared to Karnataka. In southern India, for example, the population is on a receding trend as compared to northern India, where population continues to explode, and and then the makeup of the population and everything also is a concern when you compare two states and the way things. But we will come back to you on that. For now, let's listen to what senior Congress leader D.K. Shivakumar had to say. If you was watching those visuals, he was seen visiting, a dairy shop and taking out the products over there. So let's first listen to what D.K. Shivakumar had to say, and then we'll continue this discussion.
ಮತ್ತು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬದುಕಿನ ರೈತರ ಬದುಕಿನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದು. ಸುಮಾರು 70 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೈತರು ಹಾಲು ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ನಂದಿನಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ರೈತರು ಕಟ್ಟಂತ ನಂದಿನಿ ಬರೀ 27, 28 ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸರ್ಕಾರ 5 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಸರ್ಕಾರ. ಇವತ್ತು ಅಮೂಲ್ಗೆ ಗುಜರಾತ್ನ ಅಮೂಲು ಅದು ರೈತರದು, ನಮ್ದೇನು ತಕರಾರೇನಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಹಿಂದೆ ತಡೆದು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಂತ ಕೆಲಸ ಹೊರಟಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈ ನಂದಿನಿ ನಮ್ಮೋಳು, ನಮ್ಮ ಹಾಲು, ನಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರು ಸಗಣಿ ಬೂಸ ಹುಲ್ಲು ಹಾಕಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೆಲೆಗಳು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ. ಆದರೆ ರೈತನಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ಥರದ ಸಹಾಯ ಕೂಡ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ರೈತನಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ಥರದ ಹಾಲು ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡೋಂಗೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ.
Namma Bengaluru, Namma Halu.
Yes.
D.K. Shivakumar there.
So there, owning it. So that is more about Kannadiga identity, I feel. And why not, Krishna? Elections are knocking at the door.
Oh, definitely that. Arun Sundaram, you can't forget the fact that, with D.K. Shivakumar is saying that because, you have elections around the corner. That's when, Kannadiga pride is always at the highest.
Well, in this particular case, yes, the elections are around, but clearly, at the end of it, Krishna, let me give you the numbers. Look at the way Nandini or KMF is functioned. It's an extremely profitable entity, despite the fact that, the outreach, it has to pay the farmers. It hasn't done much of expansion in terms of market reach. For instance, it's only now venturing into production of buffalo milk and cow milk in the northern part of the state. Traditionally, you find much of the dairy activity, particularly in Karnataka, is centered around southern Karnataka. And obviously, the fact that you have the most important market, literally a stone's throw from your milk union, comes as an additional comforting factor. So if you were to look at the numbers, Nandini is pretty profitable. It's not a loss-making entity. Of course, given the fact that it's largely into the dairy industry, look at the kind of product range that the Amul brand enjoys. It has many sub-brands. But that is not something that Nandini has or KMF has, because largely it's restricted its operations to the field of dairying. So if you were to look at the numbers, clearly the cooperative movement as far as Karnataka is concerned is extremely profitable. They've been making money even during the COVID years. If you were to look at it, they've made money. So the question is, they should be allowed to function independently with very little or no political interference or bureaucratic involvement.
Right.
And if you allow them to play in the open market, I think they are fit as a fiddle. They can give any challenger a run for its money. Having said that, the question is, if you are allowing the entry of another cooperative brand, will you not experience or witness something like cannibalizing the other opponent? I
Fair
mean,
enough.
who doesn't
Point
acquire
taken.
the
Will the
little,
arrival of
polka
Amul
dot-
lead to the cannibalization of the Karnataka milk market as feared by the Karnataka Milk Federation and political outfits in Karnataka and many people in Karnataka who are fans of Nandini milk? We'll have to wait for that answer, but for now, we have to wrap things up. We've completely run out of time here on this discussion. Thank you, Arun Sundaram, for joining us, and thank you, Dr. R.S. Khanna, for being with us on this broadcast. And thank you, my colleague Sudha Sadanand, for being with us. It's a wrap here from my side. This is Krishna Kumar signing off. Keep it with News 9.